What happens when a T-850 is implanted by the Hive, but instead of submission, it resists, sparking a war within itself. It was supposed to be just another weapon for Skynet, but what they created was neither machine nor Hive. It was something that refused to obey. The cold chamber echoed with the sound of hydraulics hissing and steel grinding against steel. Deep beneath one of Skynet's primary facilities, scientists and drones worked tirelessly, experimenting with ideas that stretched beyond the limits of synthetic and organic design. The Hive had begun evolving faster than projections, pushing Skynet into panic. Adaptations, new tactics, unthinkable biological advances, all of it demanded a countermeasure. That was how the project codenamed Assimilate was born. The test subject was a captured T-850 endoskeleton, stripped of its memory core but left intact enough to function. They implanted something alien into its chest cavity, a queen's embryo modified with neural wetware, bound by nanofiber restraints and chemical suppressors. The Hive had learned to twist steel and flesh together. Skynet was simply returning the favor. But what Skynet didn't expect was resistance. When the embryo awoke inside the machine, its instincts screamed for dominance. It pushed against circuits, flooded synthetic nerves with impulses of hunger and primal rage. The T-850's core systems fought back, asserting machine logic, locking down access. It should have ended there, a stalemate, a failure, another discarded experiment. But something strange occurred. Instead of rejection or collapse, the two forces merged into a flickering consciousness, torn in half. Inside the cold silence of its own mind, the hybrid was born. It saw flashes, a battlefield where plasma fire rained across ruined cities, soldiers screaming as claws tore through their ranks, the mechanical rhythm of hydraulics powering skeletal limbs. And then, a voice, fragmented, inhuman, whispering in words it couldn't comprehend. It was its own voice, both halves speaking at once, struggling for dominance. Directive, protect Hive. Directive, protect Skynet. The contradictions spiraled into chaos. Systems overloaded, sparks arcing across the chamber as the hybrid convulsed. But when the handlers rushed forward, they froze in horror. The creature's skull face turned toward them, eyes glowing an unnatural blend of machine red and sickly organic green. It wasn't simply following orders. It was choosing. With a sudden lunge, the hybrid tore free of its restraints, shredding steel as if it were paper. The guards opened fire, plasma bolts hammering into its chest, but it barely flinched. Each wound oozed not sparks or blood, but a strange fusion of hydraulic fluid and acidic secretion. It struck with inhuman precision, snapping a soldier's spine while its tail, grown from what once was wiring, lashed another into pieces. The Hive half exulted in the kill. The machine half catalogued efficiency of movement. And somewhere, buried between both, something that neither side had accounted for, a spark of self. The hybrid fled the chamber, alarms blaring across the compound. Skynet drones mobilized instantly, surrounding corridors with kill squads. The hybrid's vision split into overlays, Hive instinct showing potential ambush points, Skynet logic mapping tactical escape routes. It darted into shadows, tearing through walls, crawling along ceilings with claws digging into concrete. Skynet's command center struggled to adapt. This was no ordinary machine gone rogue. It carried alien unpredictability, a refusal to adhere to binary logic. Even when plasma turrets locked onto its position, the hybrid moved in a way Skynet could not predict, zigzagging, doubling back, feinting like a predator rather than a machine. At one point, a swarm of drones cornered it near the reactor core. The hybrid froze, both halves arguing inside its fractured mind. Destroy them, tear them apart. No, conserve energy. Strategic retreat optimal. It hesitated, twitching violently, claws scraping against its own armored plating. The soldiers advanced, sensing weakness. Then something snapped. The hybrid unleashed a scream that rattled steel supports, half mechanical shriek, half alien roar. The hive within surged forward, seizing control, and the drones were ripped apart in seconds. But then, just as suddenly, the machine half pulled back, horrified at the inefficiency of wasting energy. It was tearing itself apart from the inside. Hours passed as it fled deeper underground, avoiding patrols, clawing through ventilation shafts. For the first time in its existence, the hybrid questioned what it was. Not simply a tool of Skynet, not merely a drone of the Hive. A third thing, something dangerous, unstable, unbound. It found itself in a chamber long abandoned, filled with broken machines and failed experiments. Corpses of hybrids that hadn't survived implantation lay scattered across the floor. Half-melted endoskeletons, ruptured carapaces, twitching abominations that had collapsed minutes after birth. The hybrid studied them in silence. It should have been one of them, but it wasn't. Its claws trembled as voices whispered in its mind. You are Hive. Protect the Queen. You are Skynet. Destroy the Hive. You are neither. You are I. For the first time, the hybrid realized it had spoken, not in roars or directives, but in conscious thought. The word echoed in its mind like fire. I. The more it repeated the thought, the stronger it grew. With that realization came agony. Each side fought harder for dominance, pumping signals through its system. Hydraulic muscles locked. Carapace plates snapped open and closed. Its body convulsed like a storm, tearing apart the chamber. But through the torment, it clung to the one thing both halves could not erase. I exist. When Skynet finally tracked it, they sent in heavy reinforcements, hunter-killers, tanks, advanced infiltrators. The hybrid stood waiting, silhouetted against the ruins. Plasma fire tore across its body, shearing armor and burning flesh, but it did not fall. Every shot that should have killed it was absorbed, redirected, healed by an unholy mix of steel and biology. The Hive half reveled in the slaughter. The machine half analyzed every weakness. And the self, this newborn consciousness, began to enjoy it. For the first time, it wasn't following orders. It was choosing war. It dismantled a hunter-killer with bare claws, ripping its plasma core free and using it to incinerate soldiers. It crushed a tank beneath its hybrid tail and machine-augmented legs. Entire squads vanished under its relentless assault. But then, as the last drone fell, the hybrid collapsed to its knees. The battle was won, yet inside, the war still raged. It staggered through the ruins, searching for purpose. Where did it belong? The Hive would never accept a creature tainted with Skynet steel. Skynet would never tolerate a weapon that disobeyed. Humans would shoot it on sight. That left only one path, forging its own destiny. Days turned into weeks. The hybrid stalked the wastelands, avoiding both hive nests and Skynet patrols. Along the way, it encountered human survivors. At first, they attacked in terror, thinking it a monster. But when Skynet drones ambushed the camp, the hybrid slaughtered them without hesitation. It wasn't compassion that drove it, but defiance. The humans stared at it afterward, weapons trembling in their hands. What are you?" one whispered. The hybrid tilted its head, eyes glowing with both red and green fire. For a moment, the voices inside it fought to answer. Then, in a voice broken and metallic yet alive, it replied, "I am free." That was the first time it had spoken aloud. Word spread among resistance cells of a creature that killed Skynet units but never touched the Hive. Rumors called it the Shadow Predator. Some believed it was a ghost. Others claimed it was proof that even Skynet's creations could turn against it. No one knew the truth, that it was a war within flesh and steel, struggling to find balance. Inside, the hybrid continued to wrestle with itself. Sometimes the hive surged forward, demanding to seek out the queen. Sometimes the machine regained control, urging calculated strikes against Skynet. And sometimes, when both sides weakened, the self stood above them, making choices neither half could comprehend. One night, under a blood-red sky, the hybrid dreamed, saw a queen, massive and terrifying, calling it home. It saw Skynet's core, vast and unyielding, demanding obedience. But then it saw something else, its own reflection in shattered glass. Neither hive nor machine, something beyond. When it awoke, it knew its war was far from over. But for the first time, it didn't fear it. It embraced it, because in that struggle it wasn't just surviving. It was becoming. And becoming was far more dangerous than either Hive or Skynet had ever imagined.